Today we're looking at the best digital audio recorders on the market. They're a really quality, bomb-proof way to capture your voice, not just for out and about, but sometimes useful in the studio too. So let's take a look at the devices, see what's out there. So when you're looking to choose the recorder that suits you, sometimes, and I'm afraid this happens all over podcasting, the more you spend, the better reliability, the better quality you get. There's a lot of digital voice recorders out there that are kind of sub $50, sub £50, tend to be pretty bad quality. The mics in them won't be very good, pick up a lot of background noise, they won't be very flexible, won't give you many options. But as soon as you go above $50, towards the $100 mark, tends to be that you get quite good quality and it escalates from there. And if you stick to the right brands as well, we'll talk about brands like Tascam, like Zoom in this video, for example, then you know you're getting something reliable. But don't feel like you have to spend a few £100 if you're looking to get into this. Even if you start with a $100 recorder and it gives you some flexibility, gives you some power to capture that audio wherever, whenever you like, but use it with your computer as well in the studio, then that's a great way to start. Better to start that way than not at all. And just to bear in mind, the links in the article we link to, again, look at the link in the description to go to links for all of these recorders. They're all affiliate links. Doesn't cost you more to buy, but supports the free content that we create. So we always appreciate that. So let's start with why you might want a digital recorder. What's the point in having one of these in your podcasting arsenal? Well, there's a few things we can jump into here. First of all, digital recorders are just the most reliable, bomb-proof devices to record audio that you can get. You know, you're recording in software, you're recording on a computer, things crash, like things don't work. You've got call recording issues, you've got internet issues, you've got simply your computer falling over. But a digital recorder is designed for one thing, and that's capturing audio. And therefore they are really good at it. So you know that if you're wanting to capture an interview and you're in person with somebody, or even if you're online and you want a backup, you know once you hit that record button, it's just going to work. They're totally bomb-proof. The second, of course, is the one that's maybe the most obvious, is that versatility. So you have a digital recorder and you can take it out and about, you can take it anywhere. Depending on what kind of recorder you have as well, it might give you flexibility to record more than one person, more than one types of audio, you know, just make a bit of variety in your show as well. Some recorders can input 3, 4, 5 mics, so you can get a group of people all together. Even just being able to record 2 people in one place all together with a mic each gives you a lot of flexibility to capture different types of audio, really good quality audio as well. And the third is that they can also act as USB mics in many cases for your computer. So some of the digital recorders I'll go through later in the video, you can actually plug in via USB to your computer and you can record directly into that recorder. So some of them you could put on a mic stand just like this so that it's in front of your mouth and you can use it as a good quality USB microphone. And others you could use as an interface so that you could plug in a XLR mic. So like a good XLR mic, whether it's any of the ones we've talked about, go to our best mics article, obviously, to find all the best XLR mics as well as the best USB ones. But if you want to go with an XLR mic, you could plug that into a digital recorder and then the digital recorder acts as a digital interface for your computer. So that's another bit of flexibility. You buy a good digital recorder, maybe it acts as a USB mic as well as that device you take out and about to events and things like that. So there's a few good reasons why you might want a digital recorder. And you do get them for all budgets as well. So we will go through a full range of prices, different levels that you can jump in at. So let's start looking at it. What do we need in a digital recorder? So let's have a quick look at budget recorders first. That means under $100, £100 or around that level. And there's 2 here I'd recommend. The first is the Zoom H1N. Now Zoom always make great devices. They've got really good quality devices. I'll mention a few of their higher end ones later in this video as well. And the H1N is no different. It's a tiny little thing about the size of just an actual microphone. So you can hold it in your hand. You can use it to interview people when you're out and about, actually moving it between your mouth and their mouth so that you can capture good quality audio on the go. Really simple, not too many options in there, so it's not overcomplicated. It can only take one mic, but it can take an external mic as well. So you could plug a lavalier mic in there It's the 3.5mm connection rather than XLR. So you're talking about a little kind of more consumer level mic, but it means that you could stick it in your pocket, lavalier mic on your shirt, and you can record something, just you doing a talk or you talking to camera, something like that. Really good for that kind of approach. Really easy to use, just one big record button right on the front and all the other controls you need just to navigate around the audio you've recorded. Now, an alternative is the Tascam DR05. Now, Tascam, another brand that's been in audio for decades, so really reliable, great quality stuff, pretty much equivalent to the H1N. There's not much to tell between the two. One little niggle maybe the Zoom has over the Tascam is that the button is just easier to find when you're kind of trying to do it by touch. If you're talking to the camera or something like that, or you're just trying to talk to a person, it's really easy to find the record button on the H1N. But otherwise, pretty equivalent devices. So both of these, great quality devices. Again, not too much to tell between them apart from that button thing. You use external mics, just take them anywhere you like, tiny little things, easy to use. And reasonably low budget as well. So that's our starting point, budget sub $100 digital audio recorders. Okay, next we're moving up to the $200 range, so anything under or around $200. And at this point, the quality, it really starts to creep up. You get a lot more features. The big thing at this stage is that the preamps tend to be a lot better. Now, a preamp is just a little bit of kit that really turns that audio signal into a digital signal. So this is where you start to get a lot less noise. A good preamp basically is characterized by a lot less background noise. Not background noise in terms of the room, but background noise in terms of the hiss that just comes from the recorder itself. If you have really cheap preamps, it tends to be quite hissy. It's just kind of electrical noise in the background. But really good preamps are just super silent, very little floor noise. And that's what you're starting to get as you pay more. $200, you get a couple of devices which really improve on this. One is, of course, the Tascam DR40X. So this is the upgrade from obviously the DR05 we talked about before. The 40X adds a couple of things. First, you can plug in two external mics to it. So that's great. You can start to have a bigger range of people. You can use it as a device, middle of the table, record a group of people. You've got two external mics plus the internal mics as well. The internal mic is a stereo mic, so you can record 2 tracks off that, plus 2 tracks off the external mics. But in practice, the stereo mic on the device, you can't record 2 separate people. So really it's stereo of one person and then 2 other people on the external mics. That gives you all of those options. Still a tiny little device. It's a bit bigger than the DR05. Still fits in your pocket though. Still great for that kind of stick it in, plug in a little lavalier mic or something, record yourself if you really want to. It works for that as well. Now there is one other option at this price level that I'll mention, and that's the Zoom H4n. I had one of these for years, used it so much. It's a great little device. Again, you can plug 2 external XLR mics in the bottom. It's got stereo on the top, and it's a great little device. The preamps were good on it, but definitely have been superseded by the other Zoom recorders like the H5, which I'll talk about in a second. But the H4n, if you can get hold of one of them, definitely worth a look. But that's the two to look at that level, up to $200 for best digital recorders. Next up, we have the $300 range. So we're creeping up and up here, but the quality is definitely improving. The Zoom H5 is the first one I'll mention here. Such a good little recorder. This is our kind of daily workhorse actually we've used for years here at the studio. Alongside its bigger brother, I'll mention it again, H6. You can just get higher and higher with these things. There's just all sorts of ranges. But let's look at the Zoom H5. There is a Tascam alternative I'll talk about in a sec. But the H5, again, has 2 external mics, XLRs it can take in the bottom. It's got a really good stereo mic on the top. And the way this stands out above the $200 range is that the preamps are really upgraded. When they went from the H4n to the H5, the preamps were much better. So better floor noise, much more silent, much more smooth sound. You get phantom power in here, so you can power a condenser mic, but equally plug in a couple of dynamic mics. Sounds great as well. The really cool thing about the H5 is that the mic capsule on top actually comes off and you can replace it. So the H5 and the H6, the Zoom H6 that I'll talk about in a sec as well, both can take these. You can buy these little capsules that let you plug different types of internal mics into the top of these recorders. So you get the standard stereo one, which is good. You've got a good omnidirectional one that I've played with before as well. There's a shotgun one, which is really interesting because you can plug in this actual shotgun mic, the top of the H5, point it at somebody relatively far away, or use it on a camera, for example, mount it on top of your digital camera, your DSLR, pointing towards you, and it's great for speaking to camera as well. But that shotgun mic gives you a lot more flexibility to work with too. And the extra little bonus there is that there is a capsule which lets you plug in a couple more XLR mics. So the H5 obviously takes those two XLR mics as standard, but you can plug in another capsule which lets you plug in another two XLR mics to have 4 people in one recorder. And amazingly, you can actually stack these up. So you've got the H5, 4, you put on 2 capsules, you can plug in 6, 2 more, you can plug in 8. Now to record these all on every separate track, if you want them all separately, you need to move up to the H6, but the H5 can definitely take 4 separate tracks, I believe. So the 2 externals and the 2 stereos. So you can do at least 4 separate tracks with the H5. Okay, that's the H5 though. Great little device, we use it all the time here. Worth mentioning again is that this can be used as a USB mic as well. So you can mount that H5 on a little mic stand or on a boom arm like this, plug it into your computer, and you can just talk right into that, straight into a call, into your computer, into whatever. So if you spend the money on this, equally you're getting a good quality USB mic that you can use as part of your standard setup on the computer as well. The alternative at this price level from Tascam is the DR100 Mark III. So all these details, the names are terrible on these devices. Again, look at the description below for links to all of these devices. We've got articles that give you more detail, sound samples, all of that kind of stuff. So check down below for a link to our articles on thepodcasthost.com if you want to check out what they sound like, what they look like, all of that kind of stuff. Go and have a look there. But the Tascam DR100 is about equivalent to the H5. Very similar features, quite similar quality, but it's the Tascam alternative if you do want to go that direction. Okay, now we're going essentially unlimited budget. Another $100, another $200. What would we choose? Well, I would go for the H6, the Zoom H6. It's a crazy little device because it has 4 inputs as standard. You can plug 4 XLR mics in the top of it as standard. It's got levels for every single one. Loads of little controls and customizability, and it shows you the display as well. You can really monitor everything really accurately. So it's essentially a little mobile mixer, pretty much. It works in that way. And then it can still take all of those capsules on top as well. So you can plug in another couple of XLR mics to get 6 people all on their own tracks, and then plug in more to get even more if you want to. But equally, you can use it as a handheld recorder with all of those different capsule mics that I talked about before as well. And you can plug it into your computer via USB to use as a great quality USB mic too. So if you can budget it, if you do have that budget to spend $300, $400, similar amount of pounds on a recorder, the H6 does give you so much flexibility. If you think you're ever going to be recording with groups of people, more than a couple of people, then this could be well worth the investment. Let's look now at a couple of digital audio recorders that are podcast specific. So they've got a couple of upsides for us as podcasters, but maybe a couple of downsides for more general use as well. The first of these is the Zoom PodTrack P4. Now this is a digital recorder built just for podcasters by Zoom. It's almost akin to the H6 in some functionality. It can take 4 external XLR mics, so it's got the 4 XLR inputs. You can plug them in straight away, but there's a few extras that it's got there as well. It's got full control over all the headphone outputs, so you can plug in 4 headphones, so everybody's around it, listening to their own voice, being able to monitor how they sound, being able to hear each other, and you can control the volume of all of those individually. But the cool thing is that you can actually plug in a call as well. So if you have 4 people around a table, but you've actually got a 5th or a 6th person that are external, that are remote, you can connect your phone to the PodTrack via either Bluetooth or cable. There's a couple of ways to do that. And then you can bring that call in, and then everyone around the table can hear that caller via their headphones that they're listening to as well. And you can record a call plus some live people too. So one of the really cool ways to use this is if you have a co-hosted show that does interviews. It's a nice way to do it. You have two people plugged in on a table like this with two mics, but then the call comes into the track, the pod track at the same time, and you can listen to that and record the whole thing. Another nice little feature is it's got sound pads. So you can program in music, sound effects into these sound pads, and you can press them whenever you want so that you can kind of live produce your show. Great for if you're out at an event or something like that, you want to create a bit of hype, a bit of atmosphere around your recording. You play the intro music and then you start speaking. And obviously that saves you maybe a bit of editing as you're going as well. So that's the PodTrack P4. Really versatile mobile little device you can take anywhere, but acts as a really quite flexible, powerful mixing and recording desk for all sorts of different configurations. An obvious downside to this compared to say the Zoom H5 or the Zoom H6 or the Tascam versions is that it doesn't have a built-in mic. So you do have to take an external mic and plug it in. You can't just carry the device with the mic on the top and record directly in. You do have to take a mic with you. Now the last one, alternative, similar in functionality in some ways to the PodTrack P4, but a lot bigger, is this very thing here, the Rodecaster Pro. Now, this guy is a full-on mixing desk. You've got loads of channels, 4 main channels, 4 internal mics, but you can plug in USB, you can put your phone on it as well. It has 8 sound pads on it, full headphone control, a lot of the same stuff as the P4, but a bit nicer to use, a bit more functionality, but obviously massive as well, harder to carry around. So, and it's also a bit more expensive than the P4 too. So, looks nice, it's a great centerpiece to any studio, but obviously you have to pay a bit more for it, a bit more functionality too though. Both very good quality, so whether you go for the PodTrack P4 or the Rodecaster Pro, the quality in both is really good, perfect for any podcasting functionality. All right, that's it. That is the podcast specific ones. That's all the recorders covered. So I hope we've given you enough to choose which one suits you. And that was digital audio recorders, especially for podcasters. So I hope that gave you enough to choose the one that suits you. Figure out which one really will suit your context, whether you want to buy a $100 or $200 one initially, see if it works for you. You can even sell that second hand, get some money back, and then upgrade to the other ones later if you really wanted to. But again, go and check out the description for all the links to every recorder. If you want to read more about that H1N right up to the Zoom H6, any of the Tascam options, see really what the PodTrack P4 does for podcasters, go and click the link down below for reviews of every single one of those and a roundup of the details around them all, what they do, the pros and cons, all that stuff. And I will mention our own podcast maker app, Alitu. Please do check it out if you want an easier way to make your podcast. If you're recording your audio on any of these digital recorders, you can upload it direct to Alitu. We'll do the audio cleanup for you automatically, or you can record into the call recorder right inside Alitu via any of these recorders as a USB mic. Again, it'll do the cleanup automatically. You can edit inside Alitu, podcast specific editor, and it does your hosting. So up to 1,000 for free included in your standard package, and you can upgrade to more downloads as your show grows. So you can go over and see that at alitu.com, alitu.com, 7-day free trial so you can create your first episode entirely for free. Thanks again for watching. Do hit that alert button, subscribe to the channel so you see new videos coming out, and I'll see you on a future one. Real upsides, but also a couple of downsides, so let's look into them.